Hi, and welcome. My name is Yvonne Petry, and I'm a professor of European history at Luther College. I'm also the Dean of Luther College, and as the Dean, I want to extend a special welcome to all of you who are enrolled through Luther College. But today we'll be talking about being a history professor and what has inspired my work. Since I'm a historian, I thought I would start by telling you about my own history. As you will see, it was not at all a straight path. In fact, I probably could have been the poster child for undeclared majors. When I started university, all I knew about myself was that I was interested in everything. I didn't know if I wanted to study arts or science because it all fascinated me. I became a French major because I love language and I'm half French, and it seemed like something that would serve me well, which it certainly has. I also traveled to Europe for the first time when I was 19, and that was really life-changing. I met my French relatives, walked through churches that were hundreds of years old, saw paintings by Renaissance artists, and realized that I loved European history. I did an honors certificate in history, but I still did not really have a clear career path in mind. I liked teaching and I liked kids, and I thought I might become an elementary school teacher, but soon discovered that that was not really where my talents lay. I still thought about science and worked as a lab assistant for a biology professor who did research on grasshoppers. But after a year of working with grasshoppers, I decided that I liked humans better. I knew that I loved books and reading, and I worked in a library for a while and considered a degree in library science. I was also very interested in all things religious and spent a semester at a Lutheran seminary. Finally, it was at the seminary that my history professor there really encouraged me to pursue graduate studies in history. And from that point on, the path got a little straighter. I did a master's degree and then a PhD in French history, and was then fortunate to become a professor of history. I wanted to start with this story to reassure you that it's absolutely okay if you don't have everything figured out right now. Your time at university will be a chance for you to explore all kinds of topics, try various avenues, and develop new interests. Each step of the way, you will learn a little more about yourself. No one can really predict where life will take them, and even if you think you have it all planned out now, your plans can and will change as you learn, grow, and continue to become the person you will be. For me, all of those byways made me understand that I'm actually a very curious person. And in particular, I'm intrigued by people who are different from me, and I wanted to find a way to understand what people believed and why they believed those things. Going back in time, 500 years, is a great way to feed that curiosity. 500 years ago, we enter a time in history when what people thought and how they thought was very different from anything we know. For example, if we go back to about the year 1490, we would see that the average moderately educated European believed that there were only 3 continents, that the sun and the stars revolved around the earth, that the material world was made up of 4 elements and the human body was made up of 4 humors, that if a plant looked like a part of the human body, you could use it to heal that body part. And most importantly, that everything that could be discovered about the world had already been figured out by ancient Greek philosophers. People also assumed that society was naturally organized with kings, nobles, and peasants, that men were born to rule, and that women should not be educated because it diverted energy from their wombs to their brains. People believed in God, the devil, angels, demons, ghosts, and other spirits, and were convinced that all of these spiritual entities were involved in everyday human activities. Finally, by around the year 1550, many people became convinced that their lives and well-being was threatened by witches who flew through the air at night and who used evil magic to cause illness, destroy crops, and steal babies. So what must it have been like to live during this time? What did it feel like to wonder if your neighbor was a witch, or whether the bad dream you had last night might have been caused by a demon, or whether the flickering candle meant there was a ghost in your room? These kinds of questions have fueled my research. And in the classes I teach on the Renaissance and the Reformation, gender and the witch hunts, magic and science, my students and I look at how people made sense of their world. People who lived in Western Europe 500 years ago were not stupid. I would say they were as intelligent as we are, but they did not have access to some of the basic knowledge that even a 10-year-old today would have. That said, what's really important and really exciting about this period in European history, what we call the early modern period, is that all of those ideas that I just described to you began to change. As you might know, there was a major technological revolution around 1450. With the invention of the printing press, books could be printed and circulated, and knowledge and ideas increased at an exponential rate. Access to printed books accelerated the pace of change in Europe and had as great an impact on early modern society as the internet has had in our own lifetimes. And in the same way that the internet can give us both great information and misinformation, printed books were used to educate and inspire people, but also to spread fear and discord. In that way, in fact, we are not so very different from our early modern counterparts. So, like other disciplines in the liberal arts, studying history is a way to explore what we call the human condition. Studying history helps us imagine what it was like to walk in someone else's shoes as we learn about people's lives in past times. And if that teaches us how to empathize with people in our own time, people who may live, speak, or think differently than we do, then that's all to the good. I feel very fortunate to have had the privilege of a university education and that I'm able to have a career as a history professor. Universities are wonderful places where you are surrounded by intelligent, fascinating people who can provide you with all kinds of opportunities to learn about our world, no matter what program you go into. As you start your university career, I encourage you to be curious, ask questions, use your imagination, think deeply, and make the most out of the years ahead. Learning something new is exciting, but it can also be challenging and even unsettling. In the end, it is the challenges, the struggles, the left turns, and the difficulties that ultimately teach us about who we are. And please remember that whatever challenges you face this year, there are faculty and staff at the university and the federated colleges who can help you deal with them. So I'll close now by giving you my very best wishes to each of you as you start your first year of university. Thank you.